Hello and welcome to HR Training Resources. My name is Jackie Linebarger, Director of Human Resources Administration. This training will focus on your role as the person who certifies the I-9 form that is required from every new hire. In this screencast, I will cover the basic information you need to know to ensure every Form I-9 is completed and submitted correctly and error-free, thus removing any financial risk of fines to the university. But more about that later. Right now, let's dive into our program. Our objectives for this module are as follows. We'll start with sharing background of the Form I-9 and why it's required for all new hires to complete. Then we'll go through Section 1, which is the section that the employee completes, and how to look for some common errors. We'll end this section with some resources in case you have any questions. The reason all new hires have to complete the Form I-9 is because of a piece of legislation called the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. This law requires all employers to verify the identity and eligibility to work in the United States for all new hires. This process is done through the completion and certification of the I-9 form. Your part in this process is to certify the form and then to send the form and the supporting documents to HR for retention. This process deters illegal immigration, and it also protects against discrimination based on citizenship, national origin, or immigration status. The handling of Form I-9 is administered by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, called USCIS, and enforced by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, and inspected by the Departments of Homeland Security, Justice, and Labor. The forms must be filled out correctly because ICE performs random audits and sets fines ranging from $110 to $1,100 per form. Any fines assigned are paid by the department, not Human Resources. So let's take this out. We currently hire over 3,000 employees per year, but unfortunately we currently have a 25% error rate on the I-9 forms that are received by Human Resources. 25%. So if you multiply this out, 25% of 3,000 is 750. If we were audited and fined even at the lowest amount for every one of those incorrect forms, the university would be fined $82,500. And if we were fined the highest amount for each of these incorrect documents, the university would be fined $825,000. That is a huge financial risk to the university that you can help us remove just by ensuring that every I-9 is completed correctly. That's the purpose of this training. It's so you understand the risk that is currently being placed on the university simply because we are not ensuring that I-9s are completed correctly. And this training is also to show you how to help us remove that risk by ensuring every form that you certify is correct. The great news is that UCSIS has revised the I-9 form and it can now be filled in electronically. It must still be printed to be signed and dated, but the online version has excellent help features which will help you and your new employees greatly reduce, if not completely eliminate, errors. You will need to have Adobe Reader version 8 or higher on the computer that the employee will use to enter their information into the Form I-9. If you need help with that, ask your IT person or submit an Ask It case. Again, having the ability to enter the information into the new online form will greatly reduce the possibility of errors, and it is definitely preferable to printing the form and filling it all out on paper. We've included a link to the new form in this presentation. Click on the link and save the PDF to your computer. You can save as each time you have a new hire with the employee's name. Have them complete the form on the computer so that they can access all of the help and error protection that is built in. Then, when both the employee is done with their part and you're done with your part, print the form, have the employee sign and date it, and you will then sign and date the form. Then copy the documentation they've provided. Return the originals to the employee, and Dropbox the signed and dated form and the copies of the documentation to HR. Do not email any of this. Here's some really important information. First of all, and this is probably the most common error that happens with the I-9 form, the employee must complete the form I-9 on or before their hire date. The hire date is the first day that they work for pay. It's part of the law that we comply with this date time frame. Thus, it is your responsibility to make sure the employee completes the I-9 form on or before their hire date. Make sure there is only one attestation box checked. And once they are done with their part and you're done with your part, print the form off, have the employee sign and date the printed form. Here's another thing we need you to check. Make sure that the employee does not make a mistake and enter their birth date on the date line next to their signature. You'd be amazed at how many times employees make this error. Please check and make sure this does not happen with your new hire. So let's start by going over section 1, which is the section the employee completes. On the employee's first day of work for pay, which is referred to as their hire date, pull up the I-9 form for the employee from the link we attached. Have the employee fill in their legal name, last, first, and middle initial. Other names are optional, but they need to enter N/A if they don't enter another name. Make sure they do not enter a P.O. box. The birth date has to be readable, and Social Security number is required, but email and phone are optional. If the employee makes a mistake in section 1 and the form's already printed off, they should draw a line through the error, enter the correct information, and initial next to the correction. Whiteout is not permitted. Also, it should only be the employee that corrects section 1. You should not correct it for them. So now let's take a look at the online form and go through how an employee will complete part 1. This is the online form, and this is section 1. So they would fill in their last name, first name, middle initial, other last names. They don't have one, so we enter N.A., address, no apartment number, city or town, state. You can use the drop-down box, and zip code. Date of birth, Social Security number. Notice I didn't enter any dashes, the system did it for me, and their email address. And finally, their telephone number. Okay. The next section is the attestation section. And the great thing on these little question marks, they'll give you information that should help you if you have any questions on that area. So we're going to mark citizen of the United States. And this is where they will sign and date once the form is printed off. And that's it. That's all they have to do. If box 2 or 4 is checked, we want you to stop right there. That means they've identified as a foreign national, and we need you to email Shelley Gahagens in HR. Shelley is our non-resident alien coordinator, and you can reach her at sgahagan@uark.edu. HR will take over processing this new hire. There's nothing more that you need to do on it. And here are some resources for you, both about the form and about E-Verify, which we'll get into in the next section. I also put my personal information here. If you have any questions, please give me a call. Thank you for watching this presentation. Don't forget to watch the second section, which is on part 2, which is where you complete and certify the documents. Thank you.